Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Pixelgon podcast. It's Boix here with Mr. Miguel, aka Lord Jashiro, down there.
Calling from the wasteland.
Yeah, apparently. The wasteland with really cool red curtains.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so we missed
I
the...
I built these. I crafted these out of a rug, an FK-47,
Mm,
and 2 cans of beans.
2 cans of beans. Oh, was that
Yep.
to...
The
that was the
red color.
adhesive? Oh, the
Yeah.
coloring too, okay. Fair enough. So we missed a couple weeks due to some scheduling conflicts, but...
Oh yeah.
We have a lot to talk about today to try and make up for that. So there
Woo.
was a new Nintendo Direct that just came out. We're going to try and cover as much of that as we found interesting, and then move on from there. Since we have so much to talk about today, unless we get some questions, we're going to plan on skipping the variety hour part of our show,
Aw. But
which is
there's
unfortunate.
definitely a lot. Yeah.
But we have a ton to discuss. So let's go ahead and move on from our introductions here. And thank you for stopping by and checking us out again today. And we're going to go ahead and
I know
move
all
into...
of you are very busy with Fallout 4, but we gotta take some time to actually, realize that the world outside is a wasteland in and itself.
So that reminds me, being busy with Fallout 4 reminded me of this. So there was an article put out very recently, and I guess this is video game related, so why not talk about it, where Pornhub, the very
You're speaking my
semi-popular,
language now.
very semi-popular lewd adult website, had put out a bunch of data stating that their viewership had dropped dramatically, coinciding with the release of Fallout 4. So, just throwing that out there. That's, yeah.
Yeah.
Apparently, they could put on the
Just-
backs Fallout 4 better than porn, and it would probably sell still.
Yep, no, definitely. It is in its own type of porn. Don't get me wrong, it is its own type of porn.
But we're going to move away from the wasteland here and move towards the Nintendo Direct that we were going to discuss today. So, first of all, the first thing on the agenda is we wanted to go ahead and talk about a little game, and this actually wasn't part of the Nintendo Direct, but I want to talk about it first, called Mother 3,
Oh,
which was a Game Boy Advance game that was released only in Japan, but had a really, really good English translation, fan translation put out. And that is coming now to Japanese Virtual Console, which the Nintendo folks have also released Mother as Earthbound Beginnings, and Earthbound on Virtual Console. So there's a small chance we might see Mother 3 here in the US.
I think it's more than a small chance. I mean, Mother 3 has always been a game that, for me, it's idiotic how Nintendo hasn't just put that already, hasn't published that. It's already translated, so they can use that. It's a public domain. They can use it. Yeah, and if I'm not mistaken, the person that actually translated Mother 3 actually said publicly, Nintendo, if you want to use my translation, go ahead. I won't sue. It's all yours. So they won't have an excuse. And then not too long ago, they released Earthbound Origins,
Yes.
which is Mother 1 in Japan, to us here in the US. And to me, it was less likely for us to see that one than it is Mother 3. So I'm really thinking, Derek, that it's just a matter of time, maybe December. That's one of the little gifts that Nintendo will put under the tree for us, that they will definitely show us and we'll be able to buy Earthbound 2 if they call it that.
Yeah, and there is definitely a market for it. There's certainly an American audience that is interested in Mother 3. I've played through the game and I absolutely adored it, so wouldn't mind seeing it here. But that's just a small little thing in the pipeline. Just a quick mention about that. So we're going to move on to the actual reason people are here listening to us today, I assume, is for the Nintendo Direct, so we can go ahead and chat about that.
Yeah.
So there were a package of 3 games.
Yeah.
This is
Before we
6.
get into it, Derek, I wanted
Go
to
ahead.
ask you, what was your opinion of the Direct? I mean, this is the first Direct
Oh.
that was brought to us after our dear ex-president's departure, death. So what do you think about it in overall?
After Iwata.
After Iwata.
They did mention Iwata at the beginning of the Direct, so that was nice. And then moved on from there. And I think that's a proper way to do it, to pass the handle a little bit, or pass the baton down to the next person to take over that lead. But yeah, the Direct was good. It was very informative. A lot of interesting games, I thought, were discussed, and Nintendo's quality of that is still exactly where it was before. So, something
Yep.
I like the Direct. I like the way Nintendo does their information, as opposed to other companies. They're not afraid to give you a highly polished ad, basically.
Yep. That's
Uh,
basically what it is. Yeah.
rather than spending tons of money to go to an event show that other people will tell you about the ad. Also,
Yeah.
cats.
I mean,
Nice.
it's their own mini E3, right? Instead of having one big
Yeah.
show once a year, they have 6 mini ones E3 throughout the year. So
Mm-hmm.
it is. I'm very glad it is back. I'm very glad to see the quality hasn't dropped and that they continue to do what Iwata envisioned, and it's to be a new video game that is completely direct to the fans.
Yes, I agree. So, yeah, Nintendo Direct is a really good tool for the company. And it's done nothing but good for them. So, yeah, I was happy with what they did, picking it back up again. So, we're going to move into the Direct itself then. So, the first thing we want to discuss, there's a little known game, you might have heard of it, Pokemon, I guess. But they announced that they are releasing Pokemon Red, Blue, and Yellow
Ah,
onto 3DS eShop.
you started with the most exciting news I got from that
Yeah.
Nintendo Direct is those three classic games. I'm just so glad to have them back.
Yes, definitely. And it's not a. You have to hand it to them too. The game is a full version of the game on Game Boy. It is going to be in the black and white, so it'll be like the old Game Boy experience rather than the
Perfect.
Game Boy Color version of it. So there is that functionality. Obviously, you're not going to have the issue of having to tilt your 3DS to actually see what the hell is on the screen, though. So there's some benefit there. But you have to hand it to them to put out the full game. The major issue with releasing this type of game would have been the Game Link cable trading and battling. Like, you can play the game over and over again single player, but the part of the game that really sold it when I was a kid was the trading and the fighting all the other kids at school with my Pokemon I collected and way under leveled because people were nerds and grinded way before I did.
Oh yeah, no, and
Yeah.
that game it really does define my childhood and my days at middle school and high
Yes.
school, and I'm just so glad to have them back. And the fact that they were able to tweak it and add the Wi-Fi feature so you can actually go ahead and trade and battle through them is super exciting. I don't know if maybe it can use the Pokemon Bank. If it can use the bank, that'll be fantastic to be able to finally say, yeah, this is
Yeah, I don't know.
a Gen 1 Pikachu I have here. But let's hope that happens. If it's not, no worries. But I am truly very excited for this game, especially Pokemon Yellow, which we haven't seen. I mean, we got remakes in Pokemon Fire Red and Leaf Green
Yes.
of the original, but we never really got back Pokemon Yellow. And to be able to play that one again, it will be super fun.
No, I agree. And having the local Wi-Fi capability to do the battling and the trading and everything that was originally in the game is good. I'm curious to see. So the people that'll buy Red, Blue, and Yellow are the people who played it when they were kids, right?
Yep.
So I'm curious to see what the new generation thinks of that game when it's more readily available. Because
I don't know.
a new generation, the average new generation kid that just picked up a 3DS is not going to go out and go buy a Game Boy or Game Boy Advance and go play Pokemon Red, Blue, or Yellow, right? That's not a thing that happens very often.
Depends
So-
on how much of a fan they are. I mean, Pokemon does have quite a big following.
Yeah.
And definitely, I mean, I can see kids going back and say, hey, I want to see what Pokemon was like, before I was born, which is kind of weird to say.
Yeah, right? We're
But,
old, man.
Oh, yeah, we are. But,
Yeah.
it is definitely something that I can see them at. And, of course, I don't know if they did reveal price, but I assume it's going to be in the $7.99 or $9.99 tier of it.
I don't see a price anywhere, but it's basically the same as, they've always been, I think, for
Yeah, so
any
it's-
Game Boy game.
Yeah, it's definitely a little extra. And like again, I go back to it. Pokemon Yellow is the different experience there. So
Yeah.
if the guys really want to live that Ash Ketchum experience, they want to play that. Pokemon Yellow is the only way they can get it. So I don't know. I might see kids coming back and playing these classic games. Definitely.
Yeah, Pokemon Red, Blue, and Yellow are definitely some of the more simple Pokemon games, being the first ones that were released.
and
So
heavily broken, heavily
they're
broken.
very
I don't know.
broken, and the a lot of the
Psychic.
mechanics in the game are really, really off compared to
Yeah.
newer versions of the game where they changed the mechanics quite a bit.
Oh yeah, no. Psychic
So
were overpowered. There were no
yeah.
ghosts. There were no ghost attack other than Lick because Nightshade
Hmm.
was steady attack. And yeah, there was just what it was. Psychic Pokemon was just super overpowered. You had an Alakazam, you had a Mewtwo. That's it. You won.
Also, so I mean that's interesting to see. I'll be happy to see kind of how like a new look at the game is from a generation that didn't necessarily play it before.
Yep.
Um, for us, big giant kids, if you have the money and funds, there is also going to be a quote unquote physical box release of the Virtual Console games in Japan,
That's cool.
which will have the original size boxes for the Game Boy games. And it will also include the download code, a map of the region, as well as I think like a little insert card information about it. But there's going to be some cool information you can import. I don't know if we'll actually get anything similar to this in the US. I doubt it,
Yeah.
just because Japan usually gets a lot of cool stuff like this. But you might be able to get one through Nintendo World if you live in New York, because they usually get a couple special edition types of things like this for the US audience, or you can just try and find one online, but still seems like a pretty cool collector's item.
Yeah, and I like the date there. The February 27th is that the date where they will come out here in the U.S. as well. I mean, the
Um,
digital games, not those.
that I'm not sure. I can check real quick.
But yeah, no, it's if they do come up with that here in the U.S., that's a definitely must buy for me. And I'll buy them twice. I'll buy the physical version
Mhm.
not to open it, and then I'll buy them digitally. It is pretty exciting. These three games, if you have not played them and you like retro games and you don't mind going back and playing, black and white Pokemon, go back, go play them. It's fantastic. You have a blast.
It is coming out February 27th in the US and Japan on Virtual
Awesome.
Console. So it'll be a synchronized release.
Perfect. That's my Valentine's gift.
Oh,
It's for me
nice.
to me.
We
I'm so sad.
Okay, we actually have a lot of Pokemon stuff to talk about that were in this announcement from the Direct, so let's keep moving on.
Oh yeah.
Next on the agenda was Pokemon Super Mystery Dungeon, which
Yep.
is the newest addition, I guess, to the Mystery Dungeon franchise. In Pokemon Mystery Dungeon, you play as an actual Pokemon. You can talk to different Pokemon. They actually will discuss with you as characters. And you go through randomly generated dungeons to save your Pokemon friends, which then join your team.
Yep.
So this is the newest iteration of that game, which will also include all 720 Pokemon ever made
Yep.
in the game. So you can literally play as or collect as friends, etc. Any Pokemon that has ever existed, which is kind
Hmm.
of cool. I don't. There hasn't been a game like that before, actually, right? For all 720 now, all the new ones.
Well, no, not in spin-off. Yeah, if
Mm.
that's what you mean.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's always a cap. There's always a limit as to what exactly they're going to be released. And it is pretty exciting that for this Super Mystery Dungeon that they're going to include all of them, or 800 Pokemon. I'm excited. Not that much, but I mean, Mystery Dungeon. The problem is that they always been this game that has always been average. It
Mm-hmm.
never have surpassed more than that. And that is pretty sad considering that Pokemon not crossovers, I'm sorry, spin-offs are pretty good. I mean, Pokemon Conquest was fantastic. Pokemon Pinball was fantastic. Pokemon Trozy, also a great game. Mystery Dungeon has always been okay at the very best, but this one has a lot of promise to it. It is pretty exciting that they have include all the Pokemon there, and the fighting mechanics are pretty much the same though. So let's see how it goes. I mean, you never know. This one might actually surprise us.
Yeah, Pokemon Conquest never actually got as much love as I think it should have. It's a very
Yeah.
interesting, oddball Pokemon game.
Yeah, no, it
Um,
was definitely a pleasant surprise. It's surprising how good that game was.
so, what do you think is the downside of Pokemon Mystery Dungeon? Like the major issue with it, or the biggest flaw?
The combat is pretty stale. It's kind of trying to be a Zelda, and it's not.
Hmm.
And the fact that The whole dungeon random generated dungeons are kind of, I mean, it's okay for the first few times, but it does get old after a while seeing the same palettes come over and over. So it's never really reached that peak where it's like exciting. I mean, it's always fun to talk to the Pokemons. It's always fun to recruit them. It is just the adventuring part, going into dungeons where it has always been kind of stale. It has always missed that spark to make it exciting. Something that I hope that Super Mystery Dungeon does bring to the table.
Yeah, there's some interesting additions to this though that I'm sure will be fun for fans of the series. I've never been super interested in the mystery dungeon either, other
Yeah.
than the dungeons. The dungeons, I guess, aren't actually randomly generated. Now that I'm looking at it
No, they're
a
not
little
for
bit
this one.
more, they're not. There's
Oh,
120 dungeons, is what
oh,
there
that's
are.
interesting. So that's what they changed.
So it's no longer, um, yeah, it's no longer randomly generated
That's
dungeons. It's
perfect.
120 different dungeons across
Mm,
5 different continents. So that's a huge change from what I
that's a
understand.
huge change because that means they actually put some thought into the dungeons.
Yeah.
That are actually pretty exciting
There's
because
Yeah, go
go
ahead.
ahead.
No, go ahead.
That was before what really turned me off of the other games. It's like, oh yes, every time you play, it's gonna be random, so it's always gonna be different. But when you have a computer creating a random generated dungeon, you're getting very blah dungeons.
Yeah.
Nothing exciting. It's just, oh, the rooms are different. Nothing else. There's no puzzles. There's no anything. So if they actually have 100 and something dungeons that they thought about and they designed and they place on the game, that's pretty exciting.
Yeah, that will be interesting. There's also, in the previous versions of the game, you were able to recruit your Pokemon by defeating them and then having an incredibly small chance of actually collecting them afterwards.
Okay.
Now there's a new option which involves this huge skill tree kind of thing, which branches off. So there's one Pokemon, and then it branches off into a bunch of different directions, which all branch off into different Pokemon. And you
Okay.
can complete missions in the game for those Pokemon, and then once you get an exclamation mark, you can recruit them, and then that opens up new range of Pokemon you can also recruit. So it just branches out, so you can pick which ones kind of you want to go in an order in a line to unlock, which is kind of
Okay.
cool.
Yeah, it's kind of cool. Yeah.
So yeah, it seems like an interesting game. As a person who's never been super interested in playing it, I might pick it up.
Cool.
One more Pokemon bit of news before
Oh
we
yeah.
move from the Pokemon scene. Uh, Nintendo announced Pokemon Picross, which is a little weird.
Yeah.
But Picross, if you don't know, is a grid puzzle game where it will tell you the number of blocks that are supposed to be filled in going on the X and Y axes. And you're supposed to figure out where those blocks are based on those numbers to make a
Yeah.
picture usually. So
Sounds exciting.
Pokemon Picross is going to be similar, but it's also going to include, I think, some battle elements and such. Here, let me play the video for this
Yeah,
as well.
it's kind of weird. You basically create it and you
Downloadable
make
puzzle.
the design like the picture appear. And once you do that, you can capture it, and then you can bring them into battle or into a puzzle, and they have different abilities. It is kind of weird.
Yes. You're also making the sprites of the Pokemon, it looks like, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
The biggest problem I have with this game is Nintendo announced that it's coming out in early December as a free to start.
Free to fucking start. What the fuck is
Free to
that?
start game.
What does
So
that mean, Derek?
I believe that's a cheeky way of saying free to play, quote unquote.
Which means that they're gonna freaking charge you balls to be able to continue playing it.
Yeah, so it seems like it's going to be something kind of like, God, what was the mobile game? Pokemon Shuffle,
Okay.
where you can sort of play for free and you can do what you want, and then at some point there's going to be either there's going to be items and stuff you can buy to consider playing or to keep playing more.
Hey everybody, this is Griffin
Picross.
McElroy for Polygon.com.
That's loud. To keep playing more of the Picross maps and puzzles, or there's going to be some sort of a paywall at some point where you're allowed to do like a demo of like 3 things, and you have to pay to continue. So it's something like that from what I'm gathering. There's not a whole lot of information, but the pay model of a pay to start seems really kind of awful and I'm not okay with Nintendo moving more towards a mobile monetary direction.
And this comes in direct correlation with the whole fact that they're going into mobile gaming now,
Mm-hmm.
and the fact that the stockholders has been pushing this shit to them since years. And now they're hitting it really hard. And I believe that now that Iwata's out of the picture, I don't know exactly who else is going to be able to protect us from that. But it is something that they're moving every single game into, and they seem to be doing it a lot with Pokemon. Obviously, we know why. I mean, Pokemon is one of their biggest franchise, and it sells by the millions every time. I mean, Pokemon X and Y are still the best-selling games in 3DS, so we know that Pokemon sells. But these free-to-play is just very annoying. Just charge me the $30, charge me the $39.99, and I'll gladly pay that for the game. But the fact that they make us pay for whatever hearts for you to continue playing or to unlock levels is so messed up, and it's so anti-Nintendo.
So I did double check. The free to start is something that Iwata actually mentioned 8 months ago.
Okay.
In a press release, he when asked what free to start was, he was mentioning that free to play is not something Nintendo's making. They're not making free to play games. And it's disingenuous to the consumer to call it free-to-play when there's actually charges involved.
Yep.
So they decided that free-to-start was a better term, which is technically confusing because there's already a term for it called free-to-play.
Yeah.
But at the same time...
Nintendo, I guess.
Yeah. So it is a free-to-play monetary item game, just like a mobile game. Now, the major issue I have with this... parents are used to this type of thing through mobile, markets like the Play Store or on your iPhone. And they're used to that type of thing now.
Candy Crush!
Yeah, exactly.
Sorry.
Wow, you have a cold or something. You gotta
What
look
hell
at
of a
that.
cold there. Yeah, I'm sorry, man. Clash of Cards!
Yeah, exactly. Wow,
Man,
dude,
this
holy
is
shit.
so bad.
So that type of market, if you remember, when mobile games started to become popular, there were articles everywhere about kids abusing the crap out of the funding involved with that, and developers abusing the fact that kids would be using that.
Oh yeah, no refunds, remember? No digital purchase has refunds.
That particular market is very volatile and a very, I think, scummy way to try and get income. Yep. And parents and the general populace is aware of that now in a mobile market. So the problem I have with this is that this is coming out on the 3DS. This isn't a mobile game. Yep. So this is through the eShop on the 3DS.
Yep.
So they are putting in a cap of $100. I think it's $100 a week.
Yeah.
I believe.
Which is still a lot of money.
Which is at least $400 a month if a kid gets away with doing it without, any knowledge. Now, with the 3DS, there are parental controls put into place, and there are ways to prevent your child from hopefully making purchases on the system. As a person who worked at Nintendo and literally took those calls on the escalation line to talk to parents whose kids did do that, they don't really work that well all the time.
Yeah.
So
kids are smart.
So
kids can figure out. Yeah.
Putting something into a game like that on a console like the 3DS and encouraging a child directly on the console to purchase something extra like that links you to a shop page in game is something that Nintendo is treading the line of where they want their IP to be, from a friendly standpoint. Like, that is not going to be nice at all for any sort of parents or anything like that. It's not going to do anything for them. It is going to get them some extra income, but I think from a very despicable direction.
It is pretty, scummy, to be honest. Is the correct word for it, because these type of games have one thing in common: they're addicting.
Yes.
I worked in a developing game development company that did casino games, so I know what I'm talking about. These games are designed to just hook you. It's kind of like the version in music of pop.
Yeah.
Britney Spears, Christina. I'm
Aguilera.
I'm very 90s,
Sure.
by the way. So
Yeah,
I cannot say Justin Bieber. Okay, Justin Bieber. Justin Bieber's songs are designed.
Recent pop music like Britney Spears and Christina Aguilera.
20 years ago. But anyway, Justin Bieber. His songs are completely designed to hook girls, right?
Sure.
So that's what they market, and they're completely made, written to get them hooked. That's what these free to play games are. They're designed to grab you, put you in an addictive mood to make you buy more. And it fucking sucks that they're doing it for kids, because
Hmm.
in the mobile market, I mean, of course, in the mobile market can be kids too, but the fact of the matter is that there is some control whether or not kids have access to um, mobile phones.
You know,
But a 3DS is, even though I mean, for
Yeah.
today's standards, it's an adult console as well. But 3DSs are mainly, kids have them mainly, and to have that type of game in it, that's kind of fucked up.
with the mobile phone thing, there's actually a shitload of kids that have phones nowadays.
Yeah, that's true.
It looks like most studies say the average age of a child that gets a cell phone is 6. About 53% of kids get a cell phone at the age of 6. So the mobile market is definitely still marketed towards kids. That's why the free to play model like that on those types of addictive games works in a mobile market.
Yeah.
Because the average age of somebody who is getting one of those, or at least there's a market for that age group for that system. If phones were being given to mostly like 15 and older, let's say, you wouldn't be seeing that. That wouldn't be as popular.
Yeah,
because people are more informed at that age. But
I don't know.
on a
I trust
3DS,
Nintendo.
I mean, Nintendo's trying to be the good guy, but at the same time, I don't really like the way they're moving.
I
that
know.
market.
I know where they are. I know where the place where they're located, and they're located in a place where they have to be able to please both their fans
Mhm.
and their stockholders. So they're trying to hit a middle ground there where they can please their fans still and please their stockholders and get more money. Because the fact of the matter is that Nintendo is not in a good place. I mean, they're not in danger or anything yet, right? So
Right.
they're the fact that they've been profitable enough in the past 5 years or 10 years makes them able to say, "Oh, the Wii U was a complete failure, but we can survive this. We have enough money to continue on." So their next console, whatever the NX comes up, needs to be a home run. So I understand where they are. They need to convince their stockholders that they have plans to make money, and games like Picross and Pokemon Shuffle and all these, Pokemon Rumble these are all attempts to get that stockholders, make them understand. Yeah, we understand mobile market, we understand what we're doing, and this is for you.
Agreed. So I think that's my rant about free to start.
Yeah.
By the way.
Yeah.
I wanted to save that for later, but we're done. So we're going to go ahead and move on to more information from the Direct. There's so much to cover. We're going to try and knock over our time frame for the show, though. So let's keep moving. Snap, snap, snap. Next, we had a new, well, not new, but a Zelda game, which is being released on Wii U.
Yes.
So first, there was a remake of Ocarina of Time. Then there was a remake of Majora's Mask. Both got released on 3DS. Now there is a remake coming out. It's not really a remake, I guess. It's more like an HD. Yeah, HD version of Twilight Princess.
Don't forget the remake for Wind Waker.
There was Wind Waker, true. So there's a very... When are they gonna remake Skyward Sword?
So
that's the next question.
The Legend of Zelda has turned into the poster child for remakes and reports and just whatever, because you can find them all. Legend of Zelda is the one franchise you can absolutely find now that Twilight Princess is available or is going to be available. You can find every single version, being the first two NES and Universal Console, the Oracle of Ages, Oracle of Seasons from you can find them. I think Minish Cap you can also purchase in the Visual Contra. I'm not too sure, but you can get every single version. It's absolutely ridiculous.
So it is getting released in an HD version for Wii U. They also announced a new amiibo, which is going to be packaged only with it, which is the Wolf Link with God, I don't remember the character. What's her name?
What? The Midna?
Midna, there we go. I was going to say Mishra, which is a magic card. That would have been awful.
Of course you would.
Yeah, Mishra, that's her name. Mishra's actually never mind, I'm not going to get into the magic. So, Midna riding Wolf Link, which you can barely see in this image. I moved to the right, but
Out
I'll
of
find a better picture.
context, anyway. Yeah.
So that's going to be releasing with the game the amiibo as well as a soundtrack, as long as you get an early copy of the game, since they are only doing the soundtrack until they run out of stock, basically, which usually happens pretty quick.
Yeah.
But
Everything Zelda sells like hotcakes.
they did announce that the game will have amiibo support, but it's only the 5 Zelda-themed amiibos from Smash.
Yep.
So like Ganondorf, Zelda, Toon Link,
Link.
and then does Sheik have one?
Yeah, Sheik has one.
Sheik. I think those are the 5 which are available, and then all of these amiibos will also be used in Zelda 2016.
What do you think that they might bring into the table? I mean, what could they possibly connect or do with Zelda Wii U?
My assumption with Zelda Wii U is that the amiibos are probably just going to be like a costume, but it could be more of like a playable character, or they might do something like Splatoon where they have like side missions with those characters.
Yeah.
They already have the assets for Wind Waker Toon Link from the HD remake of Wind Waker. So if they wanted to, they could use those assets to put like a little side mission of bringing that model into Twilight Princess's world and allowing you to do something with it.
Yeah.
And I can see that, especially since they're limiting it specifically to Zelda IP amiibos. It makes sense to me that those amiibos would be to unlock content in a Zelda game rather than just a costume. Because if they wanted to do costumes, they could put silly amiibos and have you run around as Link wearing like little Max shorts or something.
Yeah. But that's a fine line, though, because once you get into the release and contact using amiibos, you get to the fact that amiibos are fucking hard to find.
Yes.
And which is my main beef with. I'm usually not have a problem. I mean, I collect amiibos, you know that. But the fact when they put content, like when they do with Splatoons, that they actually had actual attires and equipment attached to that, it's a problem because when you can't find those amiibos, what the fuck?
Yeah, so this one's only available through the game. It at least upon initial release.
Yeah.
They said it's only available through that, which I assume implies that they might have a run of it without the game.
I hope so.
I guess that depends on how popular it is, right?
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about them re-releasing Twilight Princess? Twilight Princess is, I think, a good Zelda game, but I don't remember it being super beloved.
Yeah.
And it's also sort of like a newer game, right? Like it was literally out on the Wii. It was pretty much a release title for the Wii, right? Because it came out on GameCube and Wii.
Correct. It is what we expecting Wii U Zelda to be. Yeah. With the delay of Wii U Zelda, we expect it to be the final game for the Wii U and the launch title for the NX. Mm-hmm. Twilight Princess was that with the Wii. Twilight Princess has always been the odd middle emo child of the Zelda franchise. It was a good game. It wasn't particularly great. It is notorious for having the longest tutorial in history, over an hour long, which got really, really frustrating. Many people quit before that because they just couldn't take it anymore. So what I'm hopeful for this HD remastered is if they make changes such as that, because for the Wind Waker, for example, they went ahead and they made changes. They made the boat faster. They made changes for the original Wind Waker, which was really needed. So if they can do something to fix those little things in Twilight, that would be fantastic. One thing Twilight does have into advantage is that it has the best dungeons by far. The dungeons in Twilight Princess were awesome, and it's something that if you haven't played it, you should definitely go ahead and play it. And if you have played it, it is something that you want to go back to, because Twilight did dungeons great.
I agree. I have 2 other quick questions I want us to discuss involving this, and I think I'm ready to move on. First of all, so Twilight Princess had the 2 different versions when it originally came out. So it had a GameCube version and a Wii version. The GameCube version, which, by the way, the game felt an awful lot like it was a GameCube game when it was on Wii, rather than a Wii game on GameCube.
Which it was.
Which it was, because it got ported over to the Wii in development.
It got delayed, and it got ported over to the Wii.
My question about that is, the GameCube controls for the game were they were way better than the Wii controls. because the Wii motion controls just really complicated the movement, especially when you had to like waggle or like make sure you were balancing it or whatever to do certain things in the game. So I much preferred the GameCube version of the game, and the community also does too. If you look at retro prices for the game, the GameCube one is way more expensive than the Wii version, just because it's a better version of the game. So my question with the Wii U version on the HD remake,
which one is it?
So is it going to be gamepad using GameCube controls? Or are they going to give you an option with the Wii remote and do the waggling with the motion controls? Because they played two completely different games, right?
Yep. I got news for you. It is the GameCube version.
Okay, good.
It is the GameCube version, and it also has GameCube controller is enabled, so you can use your GameCube controller to play Twilight Princess.
Okay, good.
They actually haven't mentioned anything about motion controls. We don't know if it's an actual option in the game, but they were pretty clear that in this version, it is the GameCube version. Link, once again, is left-handed, because in the GameCube version, Link was left-handed. But in the Wii version, he was right side. Not only because the whole game was inverted, of course, because the whole game was inverted in the Wii version, but only because most people are right-handed, so they made him, they made Link right-hand so you can use the sword right-hand.
Yeah, I get that.
No, this definitely is the GameCube version where Link is left-handed. So that is the good news regarding that.
Cool. Other question is, how far do you think these amiibos will go? So they're doing special amiibos.
As far as Nintendo can take them.
Okay, how far do you think the audience will go with amiibos? Because they're releasing the special Toon, or not Toon one, but Twilight Princess Wolf Link one. There's a special gold Mega Man amiibo being released in the Legacy Collection coming out. How far can they push the collector market for these amiibos before the collectors go, it's too hard to get and I stop caring?
That's the thing. So the collectors that are obsessed with grabbing everything are going to get their mind blown, and they're going to be frustrated and going to quit. Once you realize that, hey, you don't have to buy every single amiibo out there, like I finally came into terms with, you don't mind as much. It is an option. I mean, no one ever said, you have 1,000 type of meat that you can buy from. I have to buy them all. No, you don't. You just buy the ones you like, right?
Yeah.
And that's my vision of amiibos. It is a cash grab. I mean, there's no way around it. But people, Nintendo is not a charity. Nintendo is a business, a corporation. It's there to make money. We can't blame them for them wanting to push us amiibos through our eye sockets and nostrils. It's there to make money. So the more amiibos there are, the harder it is for collectors to grab them all. But if you come to terms that you don't have to have them all, it's fine. I don't buy them all. I only buy it now. I initially wanted to buy them all because that's the collector in me. I wanted to grab all of them. Now I've come to terms that, hey, I don't need them all. I just need the ones that I really like. The ones I really want, that's the ones that I'm going to get. And I'm okay with it. I mean, Zelda, Nintendo has the amazing advantage that they have the most lovable characters in history other than Disney, right? They have Mario, they have Link, they have Pikachu, they have Samus, they have all these amazing characters that we want them because we love them. They define our childhood. They just want us, and it's amazing. And we want those characters. So, hey, maybe now it's frustrating, but then a game is going to come out and they do an amiibo for that game, and that character is your favorite character, and you're able to buy an amiibo for that character, like it is now with spoilers on what we're going to discuss soon, but Cloud, for example.
Yes.
There's going to be a Cloud amiibo.
That's is? Okay, amazing. That I didn't know, actually.
Yeah, no, if it's in Smash, it definitely has to have an amiibo that's already official.
So, speaking of Smash needing another gold-haired sword wielder.
Yeah.
Yes, so Cloud did get announced for Smash. This is another huge mashing of IPs, which is good. So the last time we saw this was Snake from the Metal Gear Solid series. And now we're getting Smash from Final Fantasy.
But it definitely is the first in the series, because even though Solid Snake was in Smash Melee, we did have that Twin Snake version on the GameCube.
That's true.
Right? Yeah. So it technically still meant, and of course the original Metal Gears were on Super Nintendo. So technically Snake could still be considered a Nintendo at least a character that was on a Nintendo platform. Cloud established for the first time ever a character that has, even though Final Fantasy has been on the console,
Mm-hmm.
that character never touched the consoles. So it is a completely non-Nintendo console character coming to the Smash, and I am super okay with this.
So there's a very obvious reason why this character is being moved over to Smash. There's a remake of Final Fantasy VII coming out, and this is a really, really easy way for them to gain some brownie points for the IP as well as some excitement for the game.
Well,
So I think that's why this got announced. Otherwise, we wouldn't see it at all. If there wasn't a remake being made, you wouldn't see any interest at all in getting Cloud into the game.
yeah, I mean, Outlier brings a topic that is very big amongst right now all the fans. Why not Terra? Why not Celeste? These characters were in a Super Nintendo. These characters are lovable, and don't get me wrong, they're way better than Cloud. Cloud, I love Final Fantasy VII. Cloud by far is the worst character in that game. Everybody else is better than him. But I understand why they did it, and this is why I'm okay with this. Nintendo has turned Super Smash Brothers from a celebration of all things Nintendo to all things gaming. And that is I admire that.
Yes.
Because it takes a lot of guts for them to say, hey, this gaming is much bigger than just Nintendo. Gaming is everything. Gaming is every single game on every console. And that is something that, for me, is very important. And the fact that they let a character that has never been in a Nintendo franchise and has never touched a Nintendo console be on Super Smash Brothers, it takes a lot of guts, and it's definitely a favor they did to us fans, because this opens the door for any character, no matter who it is, to be included in Super Smash Brothers. That may be Lara Croft from Tomb Raider, who has never touched foot on a Nintendo console. Master Chief from Halo, who has never touched a Nintendo character. Kratos, who's never, it's an M-rated game, who we'll never see in Smash because of that, I assume.
That's okay.
Can be in the Smash Brothers, and that for me is amazing.
Well, thankfully we got Kratos in Shovel Knight, which is a game that's on 3DS, but not with Kratos, because that's only on the PlayStation version of Shovel Knight. But yeah, no, I'm still excited. It's a cool character. I'm not as big of a Smash player as plenty of other people, but I've played a good bit of Smash, and the limit break looks sweet. I like that they implemented that into the character like they did with Little Max build up as well. It's very similar, and I like the stage uses all the special summons from the game. It's a nice callback.
That's what I loved. Yeah,
it's a really nice callback to Final Fantasy VII. There's a big split in the Final Fantasy community of which games are actually the best Final Fantasy games. It's between like 7, 8. I think 9's a giant pile of poop, but that's me. I think 10 is giant pile of poop, but maybe that's me.
Hey, Derek, don't forget 6 and 4.
6 and 4 are good. The first couple Final Fantasies and NES are good. Like there's a huge split on which game is the best, but the reason we got Cloud is specifically because 7's getting remade. So that's interesting to note. There might be something similar to that in the future. I don't know if they're actually going to release more unless there's more reason for them to do so, like a cross-marketing type of thing like this.
Yep.
But it's cool that the option is now available.
And it's completely understandable. Many people may be forgetting that it might not have been Nintendo's even decision to do this.
That's
it
true.
could have been that they went to Square Enix and say, "Hey, we want to feature one of your characters into Smash Brothers. Can we do that?" And Square Enix went again and say, "Yeah, you can, but it has to be Cloud." And Nintendo said, "Hey, why not? Okay, no problem." We don't know how this happened. It's not part of the ballot though, because they haven't announced that. We're gonna get that in December. So this is not even the character that people voted for, which is pretty exciting. It's December. We're going to have another direct, and it's going to tell us what's the number one character everyone voted for.
Yeah.
And it's pretty exciting. But this one is an amazing surprise. It's a welcome surprise. I know many people are upset because there's better Final Fantasy characters out there that they could have chosen for this. But remember, guys, Cloud was the protagonist for even though it's not the best Final Fantasy character, it was the most popular and the best selling. And that's very important, guys. So even though, it's not the best character, a lot more people know who Cloud is than who Terra is.
So are you excited to see that Trump won that popularity poll and will be the next character in Smash?
I'm pretty excited. I mean, who
Yeah.
did they pick? Who did they pick?
Donald Trump seems like the clear front runner for the Smash.
Of course,
Yeah.
Donald Trump has to be there. I mean, why not? I mean, you got a narcissistic, freaking woman hater.
You get those
Latin
ice
American
climbers out of
racist? Of
you get those
course.
ice climbers out of my Smash. I'll build a wall around.
Yeah, he can freaking use his toupee as a freaking boomerang.
That would be great. They should just do that. I don't even care. Nintendo, get in touch with Donald Trump's, folks, and let's make this happen.
Just make sure they're not Hispanic. He won't listen then.
Yeah, he won't know that. Hispanic characters in a video game? No.
Never.
So, one more quick thing we want to talk about. This is not on the Direct. We're done with the Direct for now. We spent a lot of time today talking about the Direct. If you look at my splits...
It was big. It was big.
Yeah, if you look at my splits over... Is it that way? Yeah, that way. We've done literally nothing but talk about the Direct. So we're going to talk about one more quick thing, and then we're going to move on to new shit and Game of the Week and see if we can close up this episode. So, unfortunately, we're skipping Variety this week, like I mentioned earlier, just because of the amount of stuff we had to talk about today. The last thing I want to talk about is a thing called Meetomo, and I'll let Miguel go ahead and jump in here.
Meetomo. So, Meetomo. Meetomo is basically an app. It is the first Nintendo-published game that is coming for the cell phones. And what it is basically, and here's my description, it is Tinder for young audience. It is a social app where you can meet other people through your me and establish a connection. And as the more things you do in Meetomo or in other games, the more you reveal about your friends. And it's pretty awkward, but it is fun. One thing that Nintendo made pretty clear is that they want to unify. They haven't said this, but by their actions, we've determined already that in the future with an X or whatever, everything's going to be pretty unified. And Meetomo is one of those things. Everything you can do in other games, you can unlock a Meetomo. This is what we've been able to establish. And then you can share this with the other people, all the Miis in Meetomo. And you can dress your Mii, and it will show in Meetomo. And then through Meetomo, it will then send their Miis to other people. It is pretty weird is the best way to describe it, really. I mean, again, it is weird. You might think, how can this possibly sell? How can this possibly be, interesting? But we said that about this game. I forgot the name there. Maybe you can help me with. It is kind of like the Totomachi, the one that
Tomodachi Life. Yeah.
Tomodachi. We said about that one, and Tomodachi ended up selling many copies. It was surprisingly the number one hit that month for Nintendo, and we thought that game was not gonna sell at all, and it did. So don't count Nintendo out yet. Maybe they know what they're doing when it comes to this one mobile game.
Do you think there's gonna be an uproar about being able to gay marry in Meetomo?
To be able to what? Get married?
To gay marry?
Yeah, gamer. Yeah, no.
To get gay marry. Yeah.
Again, let's see what's gonna happen. Nintendo's weird. It's really hard to figure out. I mean, they might go that route. They might not. We don't know. Let's see what's gonna happen.
When I worked for Nintendo, I legitimately took calls of people upset about the gay marry and Tomodachi Life.
Really? That is
I legitimately had to have conversations.
We gotta talk
with
about
people
this on one of these podcasts. Then.
Holy shit! Some of the most awful people I've ever talked to. It was great. But yeah, we're going to go ahead and move on. That's what's in the news. We're going to move on to new shit pretty close to the end of the show here. But new shit is the section where we'll go ahead and talk about what we're currently playing and suggestions of what you might want to be playing. So I'll go ahead and let Miguel...
Flaming Cheetos again. Welcome back, Flaming Cheetos.
I'll go ahead and let Miguel take over here first. So what have you been playing in the last 2 to 3 weeks from our last show?
Other than Fallout 4, of course, I've been playing... But I will not be talking about that game yet because that one required a lot of time before I talk about it. I am playing Yokai Watch, and I love it. Now, a lot of people here might be turned off by Yokai Watch. Yokai Watch had been receiving average reviews. Not bad reviews, luckily, but average at best because of how weird it is. So Yokai Watch, as for those who have been keeping up, it is a game Pokemon kinda ish. where you can catch this ghost called yokai, which is obviously a reference to the actual yokais in
Mm.
Japan, which is ghost folklore. And it's basically that type of gaming. Gotta catch them all, gotta befriend them all. I love it. I love it because of numerous reasons. It is number one, very Japanese. It is very funny how Japanese this game is. It's kind of like Persona in that aspect, with its very Japanese style. You know, you got your shrines, you got your paper lamps, you got all your rice balls. Everything that we love from Japan is there, and it does it really well. The only thing that kind of bothers me, it's never actually tells you it's Japan, right? It's Springdale. It's this weird city. But I
Mm.
love that we have that culture touch with that game. Other than that, I love the world. The city, Springdale, as I mentioned, it is so good to explore. The people feel so real. The adventures there, the quests, even though most of them are fetch quests, there's still a lot of fun just because the writing in the game is so good. It's very quirky. It's very funny. Something I was not expecting whatsoever. And the yokai themselves are so funny. They're so good. I like the characters a lot. And it was very good. Let me see. I love some American-inspired Japanese-style riceberg burgers. That's good, Proto Strider. But no, the game is so good. The only drawback is unfortunately the combat. It is pretty. I can't say it's stale. It's not stale. It is self-reliant.
Mm-hmm.
It plays itself. So, have you ever played those mobile games, those RPG mobile games where they basically fight themselves?
Yeah, I have.
It is exactly that.
Hmm.
It plays themselves. The yokai themselves, they are trained to fight themselves. So instead of a trainer like in Pokemon where you choose what attacks they do, you're actually more like a coach.
Okay.
Outside of battles, you prepare them, you select their personalities, which directly affects how they fight, right? If you have a person,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, a yokai that's more logical. A logical yokai would use techniques, which is kind of like the magic versions, right? It's
Yeah.
more like special magic. If you have one that is crouchy, they use more physical damage. And if you have one that are more like I forgot the word for it in
Sure.
English. But you know they're nice, then they heal. So
Hmm.
you change their personality outside of battles and you prepare them, and then once battle starts, they attack by themselves. What you do in the battle is you select special moves that you can do, or whenever they get in spirit, which is their version of being possessed, but of course
Hmm.
it's a kids game, we can't say possess. Then you protect them from the possession and all that. It is not that great the fighting system, but what I give it a free pass on is this is a 4-year-old game. This game came out in Japan 4 years ago. It is the Gen 1 for for this game. Where Pokemon X and Y is the 6th generation for Pokemon. Right now in Japan, they're going on to the 3rd generation of Yokai. So the next game, Yokai 2, is the one that blew all the sales charts in
Right.
Japan. So that's the one that really is going to define whether or not yokai will be a thing here in the US. Right now, I give it 2 thumbs up. If you guys don't mind them, the fighting system being kind of automatic, but you do enjoy a good story and a good place to explore and something very Japanese culture induced, I recommend Yokai for you. It is a lot of fun. I'm having a blast. You're gonna like it.
I think the last 3 episodes we talked about Yokai Watch, actually. Now that I'm thinking
I
about
was
it.
excited. Oh, it's
Yeah,
level 5, man. It's level 5 and it's pretty fun. I like it.
it's good stuff. So, as far as the game I've been playing that I would suggest, it's a indie game that came out not too long ago on PC called Lisa, which
Oh.
is a Earthbound-esque type of game, but way more adult and dark humor oriented. So it involves a wasteland scenario where all women have died and it's overrun by men
Oh,
who
wow.
just want to look at porn basically and run around in a world that's very Mad Max like.
Okay.
And the main character finds a baby girl lying in the desert and takes her in, and then she gets taken by a raiding group early in the game,
Okay.
and he's trying to find her. So a lot of the
Okay.
game involves collecting partners to help you out through the game in an Earthbound style.
Okay.
fights, and then those characters can also permanently die in the game.
Okay.
So it's a lot of just really dark, really weird humor mixed in with a cool JRPG style combat.
Oh wow. Okay.
And yeah, it's $10. The game is pretty deserving, I think, of the
$10?
positive reviews that it gets, as well as the $10.
Okay.
And it's something I would definitely suggest. I haven't actually finished it yet. I've played about 5 hours of the game so far, but I'm definitely getting the very silly, oddball feel of Earthbound, but in a much more adult type of setting.
Okay.
So, very good game from what I've played.
Nice.
That is it for our new shit section. We're going to go ahead and move over from variety since we don't have time today. We have one more thing we want to discuss, and as you can see on screen, because I'm bad at editing. So this is the video game of the week. Week. That was a really bad echo. Week.
Yeah.
We're going to go ahead and try and maybe switch this topic over. Instead of just picking a game, we're going to try and highlight something that might have happened in video game history or a game that had been released in history. So today we were looking at what had happened in this week, and it appears that a video game called Halo Combat Evolved was actually released on original Xbox. So Halo is a big proponent of popularizing the console FPS genre. And it is also one of the main reasons that Microsoft is even remotely in the gaming scene.
That is correct. Yep.
Halo was originally going to be produced for PC, and there was a Halo CE edition that was produced for PC with some extra content, but it got ported over to Microsoft's new console, Xbox, and they bought the rights and everything from them to get it there first as a system seller. So Halo,
And boy did it sell.
Halo sold really well.
Yeah.
And I was a big Halo kid. My best friend from across the street, I would go over to his house almost every day, and we would go there and play Halo with myself, him, his brother, and one of our friends. Just 4-player. We do co-op, we do death matches, we do literally as much as we could in Halo. And one of my favorite memories on the Xbox system is playing through Legendary co-op first time with my best friend and beating that game on Legendary to see the special ending where is his name Jackson? The character ends up hugging one of the elites in the special Legendary ending.
Sweet.
Yeah, he's like, I guess we're all dead. Hug me, buddy. And then they hug, and then the planet explodes. But yeah, Halo was a really good game. It still holds up really well, I think, for an FPS if you play it today. It definitely had some balancing issues with some of the weapons, and the Warthog might as well be on solid ice when you're trying to actually move it. Like, holy shit, that thing is bad compared to controls now. But it's a very important game in gaming history, and it's a very important game in my own memories of the Xbox console. So what do you think?
It is, and you hit the nail right on the head there, Derek. Halo can single-handedly take credit for the whole existence of the Xbox One nowadays. If it were not because Microsoft with its Xbox had that one, and Halo is the perfect definition of this killer app, it would not be standing nowadays. People were buying Xbox by the buttloads to get Halo, and not because of any other reason that it was just a fantastic game that really brought FTS genre out of where it was and built it into its own thing. Halo was always so much fun to play. Halo defined those nights when you bring your Xbox to other people's and you connect them together and let's play Halo. It was so much fun, and it was definitely ahead of its time. And it was just a fantastic game. And it was one of those first-person shooters that not only was it had fantastic gameplay, the story was good, which is surprising for a first-person shooters where any other first-person shooters other than Half-Life took the game, the story of the game as a secondary thing, really not necessary. People don't play first-person shooters because of story. They play them just because they want to shoot guns.
Mm-hmm.
right?
I
No,
agree.
Halo came and actually brought us a coherent, good story. It wasn't wow, anything Star Wars, but it was still good, and it definitely did hold a special place in my heart. I used to play hours and Halo. I bought an Xbox because Halo.
Mm-hmm.
It was just so much fun, and this is coming from a person that doesn't like first-person shooters. But I bought it because the sci-fi element of it was so good that I just decided I needed to play it.
So, little known fact: without Halo existing, I might not actually be streaming right now.
Yep.
The first Halo, the first videos I ever created, which were complete garbage, and uploaded online back in like 2005 or something or four.
Wow.
Oh, it had to have been earlier. When did Halo PC come out?
I don't remember. It was a long time
It
ago.
was a
definitely.
long time ago, but when Halo PC came out, that's when I started doing video editing and audio editing, and I used to record videos of me playing multiplayer matches of Halo, and then add really like whatever music I enjoyed to it and edit it incredibly badly to like a really shitty music video. So without Halo, I might not have any interest in doing what I'm currently doing for my own entertainment. So that's that legacy. Because of Halo, you have this idiot.
Yep. Yeah, you got Halo thank to that. Or, hate for that.
Or hate. If you want to send any hate mail, send it to twitch.tv/theboik/subscribe. So
Yep, or
thank
the
you.
Pixelgon podcast at gmail.com. Hotmail.
Oh,
email?
we actually do have an email. Yeah, it's Gmail.
Yeah,
It's
Gmail.
I think it's just pixelgonpodcast@gmail. I don't remember. We have an email. Don't worry
Yeah.
about it. So anyway, thanks for listening to the episode tonight. That was our episode 6 of Pixelgon Live. If you have any questions for us for a future show, we should have time actually for a variety hour to answer those or anything you want us to discuss. We have some good ideas for some pretty interesting, more personal stories to discuss on the next episode. But we really wanted to just jam as much information about the Nintendo Direct as we could, as well as some stuff that we've been missing over the last couple weeks.
Yep, and we're definitely back on the weekly schedule. There were some scheduling issues, but it's going to get a lot better. So you're going to be seeing us weekly once again, and hopefully we can turn this awesome podcast, I might say so because I'm on it, into something that is you guys want to see and you guys want to participate in.
Yeah, make sure to tweet us. If you have a question, you can either tweet me at HunkyFlunky or Miguel here at Lord Jashiro, or you can even just tweet us at Pixelgon Podcast if you want. That's easier because we both check that. So, but yeah, thanks for listening, everyone. I'm going to go ahead and put the outro music. That is the episode for this week, and we'll see you going into next week.
Yeah, I love you guys, and see you next week.
See you, everyone.